All right. Welcome, guys. Today we are talking all about email, and I brought in the man, the myth, the legend, the Jedi Master himself, Mike Milner, to talk about email. If there's anybody that I would want to go to have a conversation to discuss email, best practices for growing it, for monetizing it, and just using it to grow a coaching business, Mike is that guy. So I invited him today to come and chat with you guys and be able to show you the ropes when it comes to email. How do you grow an email list? And then how do you effectively use the email list to communicate with your prospects and ultimately get more clients? Because that's what we're all here to do. That's how we grow our business, and that's how we have more impact and change in the world. So, yeah, not much else to say on my end. I will just turn it over to Mike. I think a lot of you guys already know who he is and what he does, but I'll let him just take it away. We're going in depth on email today. So, Mike, it's all yours, man.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you guys showing up. Yeah, I consider myself to be lucky that when I tell the story of how I got into email, it was just a fortunate accident. I didn't know any better when I was starting my business. Maybe it's because of my age. I'm about to turn 40 next month. But when I started my business 6 years ago, I've been in the coaching space for going on 12 years, and I started my nutrition coaching business 6 years ago. And my assumption was people communicated through email. I didn't even think about social media. I didn't think about Instagram as a channel or an opportunity. It was just that's how we talk to people. We email. So I started an email list from day one. And I wish I could take credit and say it was a savvy business move, but it was just what I thought you had to do. And it worked and it helped me scale pretty quickly. And then I actually found that I really enjoy writing. And I've been doing a daily email every single day for the past 6 years. And I don't consider myself to be all that smart, but if you do something every day for 6 years and you don't get better at it, then there's something wrong. So I figured out some stuff along the way, put it into a system that I now teach to other coaches, and still have my nutrition coaching business while I do this with other coaches as well, teaching them email marketing, which I think gives me a little bit of a unique perspective because I'm not talking hypothetical. I'm not talking theory. I'm talking in practice. I can say, this is what worked for me in my business. And then I can also test it with some of my clients and say, okay, now I can verify that this process, this framework, this method works across the board. And that's kind of how this whole thing came to be. So I'm going to share my screen. We'll get into kind of all of the details on how to grow your list, how to nurture your list, and how to monetize it. Let's go with that. My slideshow and cool. Um, all right, so it's my seven-figure email engine, how to install a proven system to grow, nurture, and monetize your email lists each month. Obviously, we're going to be talking about email marketing. Specifically, taking a simple funnel into your coaching business to grow your audience, pre-sell and nurture that audience, convert new clients with predictability and certainty each month through email or sales calls if you prefer. Um, I do both. I enroll clients through email and messenger, and then I also do sales calls. I went through periods where I was only doing calls, and then I went through periods where I was only doing messenger sales, and I've kind of found a nice little hybrid of both that works well for me. But ultimately, what I like about this and kind of what I think happened now that I like to analyze things from a psychology perspective. It's just kind of how my brain works. I like to understand like the why and the how behind certain things. I'm very introverted, so that's kind of a natural introvert tendency is we like to like think about things from a psychology perspective and overanalyze stuff. Because I am very introverted, my thought process is that I developed the skill of being able to convert clients through like written word and email because I was a little bit hesitant to get on the phone and have to be like the extroverted salesperson who can, kind of dominate the conversation and those people who are just very charismatic and they can sell anything. That was never me. So I feel like it was email that offered me the opportunity to actually get good at sales without having to really, be the extroverted salesperson. So that's why I like the style that I use for marketing, which was not what I was actually taught. I was actually taught a very different marketing style, which I'll explain in a bit. But I like the way that I do things because it pre-sells people where if I get somebody on a call, it's more of a formality where they're pretty much ready to go. They just maybe have a couple of questions here and there. We go over the details and we move forward. By the time that they get on a call with me, they're pretty much pre-sold, or it can just be a simple messenger conversation or conversation through email. You're not going to have to spend hours figuring out what to write, spending a ton of money on ads. You don't need fancy landing pages or crazy graphics. You don't have to question where your next client is coming from. And you can do this with as little as one email per week, although I would recommend more. But the barrier of entry is being able to send one email a week. If you're not willing to do that, then it won't work. Um, but I also struggled early on in business with the revenue roller coaster. I hated the fact that some months were, I would hit like a $50,000 month and then a $20,000 month and think that the sky is falling. It was like that constant up and down that I really struggled with. So another reason why I created this system is for that predictability and stability in my business. Now, if you're already creating content now, to remove the guesswork, enhance your list building and monetization efforts. If you guys can just let me know, are you all creating content consistently right now? Just give me a yes in the chat if that's something that you're already doing. I'm assuming so. Would love to know. Cool. Yeah. Safe assumption, but you never know. I've had coaches come to me from like true ground zero. Like I'm not doing any content, I'm not doing any email. But if you're already doing it, you're basically doing all of the work. So it doesn't need any additional effort to start building your list. And then who is it for? Mainly, I work with nutrition coaches, fitness professionals. If you're not utilizing email marketing at all, and you know that you should be, then you'll get a lot out of this. If you're sending emails, but you're not really getting much out of it, you'll get a lot out of this. And if you are seeing traction with email marketing, but you know that you could be doing better, you want to optimize what you're doing, then you'll also get a lot out of this. And the reason is because the money is in the list, quite literally. And I think that the statistics around email marketing, you can go to Google and you can look it up. I don't think that people truly understand just how profitable email marketing is. If we look at some of the figures, like just revenue alone, it was 11 billion in 2023. Average ROI for email marketing was 36x in 2023. That's average across any business. If you were a business in 2023 and you spent any money on email marketing, the average return on your investment was 36x, which is pretty insane. Over 20% of consumers open an email within the first hour. Compare that with like a social media post where you're lucky if a single post gets 10% of your audience to see it. Usually it's less than 10%. 34% of customers are more likely to purchase from email than any other platform. And customers rank email as their number one preferred method of communicating with and supporting businesses they like. So for anybody who says email is dead, they're not looking at the actual data that suggests otherwise. And the thing that I love the most is your email list is yours. It is one of the only owned assets in your business, along with SMS and text, which I also recommend. Most coaches do. Um, but your social media account, hopefully it doesn't happen, but it can be taken away from you without any notice. I've had it happen to colleagues, friends. I've seen people with hundreds of thousands of followers disappear overnight because they got shut down for no reason. And that sucks because I know it's a lot of work to build a following. Um, Email, nobody can take it away from you. It's yours. And with one strategic email, and I'm going to actually give you the exact email that delivered this result, but you can have one strategic email that results in 15 clients enrolling from the same email. And I will send you the exact email that I sent that delivered this result. And if you'll notice, these are not like this isn't like somebody who messaged, got on a call, had a whole bunch of back and forth, whatever. These were people who responded to a direct offer and then signed up. So, like, I'm in, let's go, completed the payment, all set. I'd be interested in the 3K coaching program, just completed the payment. Like, these are direct response to an offer. What gets missed in this, it's cool to see the replies and it's cool to see one email producing 15 clients. But the email itself was complete detail in my entire coaching program from start to finish. Who it's for, how it works, how much it costs. Like it tells them everything. And I'll send you the example so you can see what I'm talking about. But um, there's no magic to getting somebody to reply other than you got to know what problems they're struggling with, and you have to have a detailed solution so they have a high degree of certainty and clarity and trust. And we're going to talk about those three things. Anybody who tells you that there's like one little hidden magic pill or something like that, it's all BS. Humans are pretty predictable, even though we're irrational. We are actually predictably irrational. So if we can deliver a high degree of certainty, clarity, and trust, oftentimes we're going to move forward. If it's a solution to a problem that we have, and we identify with that problem and we see the solution very clearly, usually we're going to move forward because that's what we spend money on. So for those of you that don't know me, I'll just do a very quick intro. I still run my nutrition coaching business. I've been a copywriter for a little while. Like I said, I've been writing every day for the past 6 years. Over the past 2 years, I've done more like ghost writing for other people. I've written sales pages, VSLs, landing pages, email sequences for just about everything. I have kind of developed into a marketer, even though I had no marketing background whatsoever. And now I coach other coaches on their businesses and mainly their email systems and messaging and copy. That was me starting off as a personal trainer about 12 years ago at this point. Then I started my nutrition coaching business, Peak Optimization Performance, or POP, in 2018. I wrote a book that was cool. And then this is my family, my wife, and my three stepkids. And ultimately, I realized that what started out as something I was doing because I had my own physical transformation, I wanted to pay it forward, and then never imagined like the business side of things would amount to anything. Now and then, things change when you have other people that depend on you. And my goal here is to make their lives a little bit easier and continue to, travel and take them on trips and do cool shit that they otherwise wouldn't be able to do if they didn't have me in their life. So that's kind of the purpose behind the business now. Is now that I have a family, it's a little bit more real. 2020 was an interesting year. This is kind of when this all came to be. I had been coaching for a while. I had scaled pretty quickly. So when I started my business, I actually scaled to seven figures in revenue. Let me make that very clear. I scaled to seven figures in revenue in less than 2 years. 2020, I had hired. So because I scaled so quickly, and I had no background in marketing or sales, I was just trying to figure it out all out on my own. I spent $40,000 on a coaching program, and that coaching program doesn't exist right now. But they taught me a lot of sleazy marketing tactics. It was a lot of cold DMs. It was a lot of pain, what I call dig the pain marketing, where they're like, you got to make people feel so bad about themselves that they can't imagine life without hiring you. Like that was what I was taught. And it just didn't align with me morally. But I was like, I was completely new to this whole marketing game. It's like, oh, I guess this is just what you have to do. So when I was on my own, I had 121 one-on-one clients to myself. I was doing calls with all of them. I had no life and I was completely burnt out. And then I hired this marketing company, this like coaching company, mentorship, and they told me to offload all my clients. And they started teaching me these marketing tactics. They're like, we're going to scale and we're going to scale you to 8 figures. And they made all of these bold promises. And it was a lot of just sleazy marketing. The irony of it is I was doing email, email was working. And instead, I'm like, tell me what I need to change and do differently instead of just doubling down on the thing that was working. But sometimes we're our own worst enemy, and we have the thing right in front of us. We're like, no, it must be something else. So I listened, and I was feeling kind of gross about the way that I was doing business. And then I would get people on the phone. So it was like a lot of vague marketing. It was like, don't tell people what you do, don't tell them how you do it. Just make these promises, tell them the results. Make sure that they feel the pain of their problems, and then you get them on a call, and that's when you close. And I wasn't closing. So then they told me I have to work on my sales skills. So I spent another $24,000 for a one-on-one sales coach. And the coach would review my sales calls, and then he would tell me that I wasn't making people feel bad enough, that I literally had to bring them to tears. And he was like, you're kind of touching on their pain point, but you really need to like push their face in the pain and drag them through it. And they should feel this like emotional, sometimes they would, they should be crying, and they should be feel so stuck that there's no other choice but to move forward. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. Like, there's just no way. I don't have it in me. It doesn't feel right. So I was just like, oh, well, I kind of suck at sales. At the end of 2020, I pulled my wife into this exact office, and I was like, hey, I think I'm going to quit. I'm going to stop doing business. And she was like, why? Like, I just wasn't cut at like marketing and sales just isn't me. Like, it takes a certain type of person to do it, and I'm just not that guy. Like, I tried, I had a good run, but I don't think this is for me. And she's like, hey, if you want to stop, you want to, get rid of your business, I'm all for it. I'll support you. She's like, but why don't you just do everything in the opposite way that you were taught? Because you know that that doesn't sit well with you. So instead of just like throwing in the towel, what if you just like do the opposite? And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, well, let's just make a list. So she got on my whiteboard over here. She's like, what were you told like not to do? It's like, well, I was told never to reveal how the program works. She's like, okay, so tell people how the program works. And then it's like, I was told to like, make people feel really bad about their situation. She's like, well, why don't you make them feel really good and empowered? So we literally did this for like an hour. And by the end of it, the thing that stood out, like the through line of all of these bullet points, were be freaking transparent and pull the curtains back. So we wrote that in big, bold letters on the whiteboard: pull the curtains back, tell them everything, underlined it. And that was my new marketing plan. And then February of 2021 was my first six-figure month. And I went back to the channel that had given me success, that was there all along, that I had kept doing, but it, was spending minimal time on it because I was following all this other marketing advice. And I went back to it with this new strategy and messaging plan, and it absolutely blew up in a way that I could not have predicted. You could see the Stripe February 113,000, March was 135. Then at this point, it was like halfway through April, and I was at 121. And it just was crazy. Like, I had blown up to six figures per month, and I I never had less than a six-figure month since that point. But Stripe screenshots are something that I absolutely despise because they don't really tell the full story here. Because of all of the stuff that I was being taught with scaling my business, my expenses were so high, I actually wasn't making that much money. And I was still really frustrated. So I'm going to put a pin in that for a second. But I kept getting asked by coaches how I was doing it. Like, I was doing most of my sales at that point through email, no sales calls. It was just, I was getting so many applications and replies that I didn't even have the time to do calls anymore. So I was like, all right, screw it. I'm just going to give people what they need through email and see if they want to sign up. And because I kept getting other coaches who would join my list, they were trying to figure out what I was doing. Ultimately, that led me to put a system around it. And usually my go-to answer when coaches would be like, how are you doing this? I'd be like, I don't know, I just write. And I tell people all the things that they need to know to make a decision. They're like, yeah, but there has to be something more to it. I'm like, all right, let me put a framework around this, because there is an actual system here. There's a method. I do have a deep understanding of human psychology, which has helped me to become an effective marketer. So I created the system. Now, while I was creating that system and putting it together, I grew my email list to over 50,000 subscribers. I was doing six-figure challenge launches. I had a team of 15 coaches. I scaled my business to multiple seven figures, over seven figures per year, and I still wasn't happy. And I decided to start dropping a lot of responsibility off of my plate in terms of my staff, my payroll, because I wasn't profitable and I didn't have the life that I wanted. And I also, now there's the family element to it. And I started recognizing that I wanted to do business on my terms and do things my own way. So I got rid of all the crap that I didn't enjoy doing. I loved writing and I loved recording my podcast, but I hated everything else. So I decided, all right, let's do a test. I wonder if I can take away pretty much everything else. Like everything else I'm going to get rid of. And I'm just going to see if this whole email thing alone is sturdy enough to create predictability and growth. So I created a course, all the questions that coaches were asking me about copywriting and messaging and email and all that stuff. It's like, I'm going to put this course together and I'm only going to promote it through email. Now, I had a great audience when it comes to nutrition coaching for clients, Gen Pop, but coaches, I had about 300 people on my list. And these were just people who would either, so I would like send a message to my main list and I would just be like, if you're a nutrition coach or a fitness professional, hit reply. I have something special for you. And then I would just segment them into a separate list. And then I had worked with another company where I made some contacts and had some other coaches that followed me. So I put together my list of 300 people. That was my coach audience. So it was kind of like starting from scratch. And here was my experiment. It was a course that's called Copy That Converts. It's still something that I offer today. It's a $497 course. And I had two sales on the first day, and I was like, "Oh crap, this is gonna fail. This is gonna be a flop." But I knew like anything, it takes time. So small audience, 300 coaches on my list. I'm not doing anything else. Like you can't find an ad, you can't find a Facebook post about it, you can't find an Instagram post about it. You will not see a single thing on this course other than what I was sending through email. And I did 3 months every single day I positioned a solution to a problem and a call to action for the course. And I got 160 coaches enrolled because the money is in the list. And it is, if you have the right offer for the right audience and you know how to position it, you can see the type of return that is the average for email marketing, 36x on average. So I felt really good about my ability to nurture and monetize, but I felt like growth was the missing piece. Now, there were certain things that I did to grow my list that I could teach, but I was kind of missing like the one thing that I could really hang my hat on. I had all these different like I had done things like virtual workshops where I would bring in a bunch of other coaches and I would tell them to send, to their lists. And then the people that registered would sign up for like I had all these different various tactics, but there was no like pillar where I felt like, okay, this is the growth pillar. Um, but it was right in front of my face, like most things. So I figured out the growth side of things and I grew my coach audience to over 1,500 subscribers, 5x in 3 months. And then I launched my next product, which is called the 5 Minute Email Collective, which has close to 400 coaches now since March 1st of this year. Most notably, there have only been 4 days since launch with zero sales. So um, that's kind of my like barometer. Every single day a sale comes in, I'm like, there's a no zero day. And there's only been four over the past, what has it been? March, April, May, June. So 4-ish months. So averaging 1 day per month of no sales. And it's steadily growing each and every day because I figured out all three components: growth, nurture, monetization. And that was the email engine. I needed that top part of the funnel to kind of complete the puzzle. And once that was in place, all the pieces came together really nicely. And that's what I teach inside of the email collective. So if you've ever been told, how many of you guys have heard this line? You're only one funnel away. Do you know where that's from? I'm not going to like specifically call anybody out here, but have you ever heard that before? I know Dan has. Anybody else? You heard that? Yeah. Cool. So it's a lie. It is definitely not true. Um, and here's the reason. And that's not, I mean, I think Russell Brunson is a brilliant marketer and ClickFunnels is a great software. But the reason why it's a lie is because humans don't work like liquid. Like if you put liquid into a funnel, it is very predictable what's going to happen. They're going to go, the water in the funnel is going to go in the top and come out the bottom. It has no other choice. Gravity is pretty predictable and reliable. When you're putting oil in your car, you got the funnel in there, you put the oil in, we know where it's going. But humans are not liquid. We, like I mentioned earlier, we're irrational. Even though we're predictably irrational, we can change our mind. We can opt into something and then opt out. We do not just automatically go through the funnel. So, what we have to do is actually create gravity. And that's all that your messaging is when you think about your messaging, your copy, your emails, your content. All you're doing is creating gravity. And there's an actual formula to that: certainty, clarity, trust. So, clarity is, what is the problem? I need to be clear, like the problem that you're helping me solve, right? Like if I have a sprained ankle and I go to a doctor and I'm like, hey, can you fix my ankle? And they're like, well, I have some experience with back pain and I've done some ankles before. And but that's not clear. Like, I need to know, are you able to solve this problem? So that's the first thing, is we create clarity on what problems we can solve. Then certainty, the next thing I want to know is, how are you going to do it? That's the logical next question that any human has. Okay, I'm very clear on the problem that you're solving, but how are you going to solve it? And then the last part is trust, because you can tell me how you're going to solve it, but if I don't trust you, I'm likely not going to move forward. So we need all three pieces to be in place to create gravity through the funnel. So now we're going to go into each component and how we create gravity through growth, nurture, monetization. So let's get into it. This is our 3-step system to install a 7-figure email engine into your coaching business to attract, nurture, and enroll dream clients each month. So the first step is continue or start consistently posting content. Um, the reason why is because we need actual data from your audience. I always say that real data is significantly better than hypothetical data. A lot of times we get ourselves in this constant overthinking loop of, you know, what do I post, or how's my audience going to respond to this? Or it has to be the perfect message. I have to have the perfect landing. No, you need data. You need actual data as to what your audience wants. And there is nothing better than consistently doing something to get that data. It's like if a client tells you that they're not progressing, you want to see the data, actual data. Or if they're like, hey, I'm not really sure that these macros are going to work for me. You're like, great, why don't we try them? And then we'll decide if they're working or not. It's so much better to have real life data than hypothetical. Like, I say this all the time. Like, I'm running a challenge right now for my nutrition coaching business. And while we're setting people up with their plans, they're like, I don't think I can eat that much protein. And my answer is always the same: first, you're going to try to eat that much protein, and then you're going to tell me with real life evidence that you can't do it. Like, instead of the hypothetical, you're going to tell me what happened when you tried it. So the first thing is we need some level of consistent data. And here's how to just make it way less stressful. Content is nothing more than a test. That's it. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be pretty. You are simply testing the hooks, the message, the solution, the style. All we're trying to do is find what your audience tells us resonates with them. That's it. So you might try a piece of content that has a specific hook and headline and it flops and you're so upset. It's just a test. Great. Now I know that that hook and headline didn't land. Or I did this style, I did this like reel or carousel post or swipe post or whatever, and it didn't work. Okay, great. Let me try that in a different format. It's just a test, nothing more. Detach from the outcome, become a scientist. So here's how to figure out your content in just a real simple, straightforward way. Outline your entire process that you use for your clients to create their dream outcome. And if you are thinking right now, it depends on the person, then you definitely need to do this, because there are similarities that you use for every single person, whether you believe it or not. I used to have the same thought process when coaches would ask me. I was like, I don't know. It depends on your audience. It depends on this. But there were absolutely commonalities that I could teach to every single coach, regardless of their audience, regardless of where they're at in their business. It's the same thing with what we do in nutrition coaching. Outline it from start to finish. So literally your intake process, your first if you have them track for 7 days before they start, like write down step by step what you do for your clients to create the dream outcome. And then you're going to group those into like 3 to 4 phases or frameworks, because there's going to be stuff that all fits nicely. Like a lot of coaches will start with some kind of a metabolic restoration or reverse diet or something like that. Then they're going to go into like a fat loss phase. Then they're going to go into some kind of a maintenance or lifestyle component of the process. You might move people from tracking to intuitive eating. Like there's going to be certain phases or frameworks that you can group those steps into. And now you're going to write a list of every single micro problem or situation under each phase or framework that derails the prospect from completing that phase. Okay, so what would occur that would stop somebody from making it through those steps in the first phase, the second phase, the third phase? So things like, they snack every night and they binge on the weekend, and they're, not accurate with their tracking, or they're not, they're doing too much cardio. They're not getting enough recovery. They're not sleeping well enough. They're drinking too much. They're ordering out too much. They have mindset issues. They self-sabotage. They have limiting beliefs. Like you, literally every single little micro problem that prevents them from being successful. And that's your content. All of those micro problems are your content ideas, because what people want is solutions to real problems that they have. And if we know that they have those micro problems and we provide a solution, that is value. If you've ever heard a coach tell you, business coach, they'll say, post valuable content. And my question is, what the fuck does valuable content mean? Because nobody ever describes it. I'm describing it. Valuable content is a solution to a real problem that your ideal clients are facing on a daily basis. When you can give somebody a solution, that's value. So if I'm like, damn, my ankle hurts, and somebody's like, elevate it, ice it, whatever, that's a solution. I'm like, damn, that was really valuable. Thank you. I'm super appreciative that you actually gave me a real solution to a real problem. Um, Right now, I'm talking about content in general on every channel. So this is kind of an all-encompassing content. But yeah, social. Um, I'm talking about email. I'm talking about everything that you're creating. This is the source of content. This is where it's coming
It's
from.
Mike, it's funny. I was literally just doing this. I have it written on a notepad this morning. I was doing it again for myself. So that's how valuable this exercise is. And if you've never actually spent the time to write down exactly what Mike is saying right here, it is so powerful. It's
Yeah.
game changing. And
Yeah.
yeah, literally was doing it again this morning.
Yeah. So this is like Inception. This is the dream inside the dream, because this is an example of, I'm solving a problem. It's a micro problem. The micro problem is, I don't know what content to create. I don't know what to write about. I don't know what problem to solve. Okay, now I'm giving you the exercise that reveals those things. It's a solution to a micro problem. Um, and then give the answer. That's the biggest thing. I see this all the time. The biggest content mistake in the world is the most common, is not actually giving the solution to the problem that you're talking about. So many coaches will go on social media, or they'll write an email and they'll talk about the problem, or they'll talk about what doesn't work, and they leave out the most important part, which is what actually works. I saw this one coach, and she wrote this really powerful post about how she lost all of this weight without tracking macros. And she's like, macros aren't necessary, and I lost 20 pounds without tracking. And that she had this whole like beautifully written story, and at the end of it, it just stopped, and I was like, oh my god, you missed a golden opportunity, because she never said what she did to lose the weight without tracking macros. And if she did that and positioned it as, here's exactly what I did to lose the weight without tracking macros and how you can do the same, she would have had unlimited leads coming in, ready to sign up, to be like, I need that. It was it happens all the time. We always talk about what doesn't work, or we talk about the problem and we leave out the solution. People want solutions. Even if they don't take action on them, they want to know the solution to the problems that they're facing. And then you can present it in a lot of different ways. Um, there's a number of different styles that you can use. Again, it's just a test. Now, I don't like to teach tactics, because tactics come and go. Tactics are flimsy. I like to teach principles and philosophy, which are more permanent. That's more of a foundation. So these are more tactical, but I feel like I have to mention them, especially now, because this trend, number two, if you haven't done this yet, you could blow up your Instagram account very quickly. It's a super simple process. Just film like B-roll footage. If you don't know, B-roll footage is just like shit that you're doing in day-to-day life. So you could take some video of yourself at the gym lifting. You can film yourself on a treadmill walking. You can film yourself eating breakfast or drinking your coffee or walking the dogs or playing with your kids or whatever. And all you're going to do is you're going to take that B-roll footage and like 4 to 10 seconds of it, and you're going to put that in a reel, and you're going to put a strong hook and headline as the text, right? So all it is a like a strong hook. Like, I never would have lost 100 pounds if I didn't do these three things. And that's it. That's the whole post or the video. And then the answer is in the caption. So the reason why this is where, again, just keep in mind tactics come and go. So this could be obsolete in a month. But right now, at this moment, as of this recording, it is the easiest way to grow your account on Instagram. So the reason why it works so well is because the person watching the video is waiting for the reveal, and they watch the whole video because it's only a short 4 to 10 second clip. They're waiting for you to tell them like the three things or the one thing or like, I know like the three mistakes that you might be making right now that are preventing you from losing fat, or this one thing, if you need like one simple trick to get in more protein so you can build more muscle, here's what it is. And they're waiting for the reveal, and they watch the whole thing, and then it typically loops, and they watch it again, and then they're like, oh, I should check the caption. So what happened with the algorithm is Instagram's like, oh, this video got 100% watch time. We should send it to more people because you got somebody to basically stay for like double the amount of time as the video is. So it basically is a way of getting more eyeballs on it. And you can position a really strong call to action, which gets a lot of leads. And I'll talk about that in a second. But right now, of all of the content styles, this is the tactic. And again, keep in mind, tactics are flimsy. They come and go. So this might not be relevant for all that long, or it could be something that lasts a couple months and then, but take advantage of it while it's here. So you can use that style of content. You can do social proof, talking head videos, tweet posts. We just want to test and see what's working. And then all you're going to do is you're going to check your metrics every week. This should take you 15 minutes every Friday. Set aside 15 minutes in your calendar to check your metrics. And what you're looking for are your high performers. Strong engagement rate. Likes, comments, and shares divided by total reach and impressions. If it's above 10%, that's a good number. Anything that's like over indexed compared to your average. So like if you typically get a reel, like you're doing reels on Instagram, and normally the average reach impressions is like 500 views, and you have one that gets like 2,000, that's great. DMs and comments, think like if you have something that's very targeted, you might not get the massive reach because it's so specific. Let's say it's like a very niched down post, but you might get a lot of feedback. You might get a lot of people in the DMs or comments, or damn, this resonated. This, it's like you were speaking to me, or people messaging you saying they want to learn more. Even if the reach isn't huge, but you're getting that high level of interaction, that's worth noting. And then filter by relevance. I can post a picture of my Frenchie or my other two dogs, and it gets a huge reach always. I always like post the dog pics when I need a little bump in engagement, but that's not relevant to my ICA. So I'm not going to make a note of a dog video that's completely irrelevant. So obviously we want to filter by relevance. And then all you're going to do is you're going to double down on your high performers. Like every single week now, you have the high performers highlighted, and you're going to recreate them. And you're basically going to say the same shit with a different angle or a different style. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use it because we know that it works. We're going to use it to create the growth opportunity for your email list. So this is where we insert the resource accelerator. The reason why I call it a resource accelerator, a lot of people call them lead magnets. A lot of people call them opt-ins or freebies. the way that you should position the opt-in, the freebie, the lead magnet is to accelerate the outcome, right? So if we're doing this properly, we're solving a problem, right? We're solving a micro problem. And if you're doing it properly, then there should be a resource that can accelerate that solution. So you gave them the answer. Now, can you give them something that gets them the solution even faster? And that's how you want to position your lead magnet, your opt in. So you recreate the top performers. And then it's like, let's say it was you did the B roll and you were like, um, this one thing that you can implement today will help you burn more fat and build more muscle, and you'll start to notice these changes within 7 days, right? And then they look at your caption and you talk about the importance of protein and how increasing your protein helps you build more muscle and lose more body fat. And then you're like, if you want my 50 high protein meal ideas so you can start to increase your protein and see these changes, comment protein below. Right now you've got the resource that accelerates the solution. And because we know that that hook and that message lands with your audience, there's a high degree of certainty and probability that you're going to get a lot of comments and opportunities to move people onto your email list. It's the best strategy that I've seen for predictable growth. Not everyone's going to be a home run, but we don't need a home run. Doubles and singles are great. Doubles and singles win games. So if every week you're looking at your high performers and you're doing this consistently, it will compound over time because you're growing your audience, you're sending a message that resonates, you're getting people to comment on your posts, and then you're growing your email list, and it just keeps compounding. It creates this flywheel effect. Eventually you'll hit a home run, and it's great when it happens. So I have a client, she averages about 40 to 50 comments when we do this every single week. We just review the data. She repositions her high performers. She gets about 40 to 50 comments per post. The other day, she had one that got like 2,500 comments. So it was like, oh, cool, the home run happened, but we don't need it. It's just, it happened. It's great. We're not relying on the homer. We're just hitting double, singles and doubles. Um, yeah, no missed opportunities. It's just lessons learned and opportunities to do things differently moving forward. That's it. Um, this is the easiest way to grow your list. And by the way, you can take this exact strategy and you can use a small, like $1 a day ad budget. I'm not going to get into that because that would be a whole separate long-winded training. And you guys can probably already tell that I'm very long-winded as it is. But you can basically take those posts that have already been proven, like paid ads are nothing more than organic content with money behind them. So if you already know what works for generating leads, you can take those posts that have already been proven to generate a lot of leads and you just put a small budget behind them. And we have, again, a high degree of certainty that you're going to continue to produce new leads with a little bit of a paid budget. And it can be as small as $1 per day. All right. So that's step one. Now we're going to move to how we actually get those people to convert. Does that all make sense on the growth side of things before I move on? Any questions on that? Wait, let's keep it rolling. All right. This graphic is courtesy of my buddy, Joey Persia. I always want to give credit where credit's due. I use the baseball analogy all the time because it makes sense and I'm a sports fan. But basically, once we get people into our world, they're on base. When somebody crosses home, they're a client. It's pretty straightforward. Um, Most people think of this process as like we get a lead and then we automatically want them to be a client. Well, there's takes people some time to move around the bases, and some people are slower than others. You're going to have some people that learn about you and it takes them months before they cross home. Some people are going to learn about you and it takes them days before they cross home. Ultimately, we want this flywheel to always be creating new people on base and moving those existing people around the bases. So the biggest thing that coaches often miss is the part that actually gets people to cross home, which is the offer. Sometimes there's like a whole bunch of people in your audience that are sitting on third base and they just need to know what you do. And that's the only disconnect between them sitting on third and them crossing home is they just don't know what your offer is. So what I teach is a consistent schedule of making offers so that we pick up those people from third and we get them to cross home. Um, so I'm going to show you exactly how that all works. Yes, go Phils. So here's how we create some run scoring emails. We have belief shifting emails, which I'm going to go over the framework here because this is kind of what I'm known for. This has been the framework that kind of put me on the map in terms of email marketing and just recognition, also known as Black Swan marketing. Stories, which always do well, over the shoulder, testimonials, social proof, behind the scenes looks. I'm more specifically going to focus on the belief shifting, but just so you guys like tell stories. There's no secret to it. Just tell more stories. Tell your personal story. Tell client stories. Share, stuff that's happening in your life. Share stuff that happened to you in the past. Like we connect with people through storytelling. We see ourselves and other people through stories. It is one of the best ways to build connection and trust with your audience. I have a client who I've been working with for a long time, and I just noticed that every time she would tell her own story, she would get clients. So I was like, let's just do an experiment, and you go through like your own fat loss phase and just tell the story as it's happening in real time, and literally just share all the details. All this every time you screw up, when you go out to eat, when your husband takes you out on date night, all like just keep sharing that. And she did that for 30 days and had her biggest month ever in terms of sales. And that was the entire content strategy that I gave her. Nothing else. Don't worry about anything else. Just tell your story as you're going through it. And it absolutely crushed. Over the shoulder view is basically like, here's what's happening, things that we're doing with our clients, and I'm giving you insight into that. So that works really well, where you're like, I'm going to do this client check-in right now. I'm going to go over this person's macro plan and I'm going to show you how I would make changes. So you're kind of getting like an over the shoulder view of what you would be doing for them as a one-on-one client. Testimonial, social proof is kind of self-explanatory. People need to see examples of the results that you create. And then behind the scenes, that can be like a snippet from a group call, a snippet from a client check-in, things like that, where you're just kind of showing them like, here's what's happening on the inside of our coaching program that you could be a part of. So now I'm going to give you like the belief shifting framework. So here is exactly how it works. I'm just going to like put it all out there and then I'm going to break it down one by one. So we start with the micro problem. Again, we should have that list. We know what the micro problems are. And we're going to start by articulating it in their words. This is specifically for your nurture emails. Okay. So we're going to start by aligning the problem and articulating it in their words, which is really important. A lot of coaches will start their emails with their diagnosis of the problem. And it's like, here's why you should be eating more vegetables. But like none of your clients are sitting there like, damn, I really need to get more vegetables in. Like they're thinking about their problem in the sense that it's like, why don't my pants fit? Or like, why am I still hiding from pictures? Or I don't want to go to this beach trip because I have to be in a bathing suit and that makes me self-conscious. So we want to align and articulate with the problem in their words, not your diagnosis. We'll get to your diagnosis in a bit, but we want to start with something that immediately captures their attention and says, "Oh shit, that's me." That's what we're going for. It's the "Oh shit, that's me" response. So it's like, have you ever walked into your closet and you saw that dress hanging in the back that still doesn't fit and you had that moment of panic that you're still 20 pounds heavier than you want to be. Like the oh shit, that's me. And then we explain why that's still a problem. Or like, the binge episode every weekend. Have you ever felt super consistent Monday through Friday only to sabotage your efforts on Saturday and you can't figure out why it keeps happening? Like, oh shit, that's me. Now we're going to explain why that's happening. So it normalizes it, right? So when somebody feels bad, again, this is the opposite of making somebody feel bad. Normally, what other marketers would tell you to do is dig the pain and make them feel horrible about it. Like, you can't fit in your dress. That sucks. You're miserable. You need to fix this right away. No, we're actually going to normalize it and explain that it's not really even their fault. We're going to explain why this is happening. Like, you've been told your whole life that you need to eat less and move more. You've been trying 1,200 calorie meal plans because that's what every diet promotes. And guess what? That's actually what's causing your binge episode every Saturday. You're consistently under eating, and it's not your fault because you've been told for decades that you need to eat less, and you keep trying to eat less, and your body is craving energy. And when your body craves energy, it's going to get it one way or the other. So every Saturday, your body is fed up and it's ready to overindulge and get the energy that you've been depriving of. And this is super common. I see it with every woman that I work with. See how it's like alleviating them of blame? It's explaining this is why it's happening. Now all of a sudden, I don't feel so bad about my dress not feeling. I don't feel so bad about the fact that I'm binging. It's actually really normal. And now we show them not only do we know why it's happening, but we know what they're trying or what they tried in the past and why that doesn't work. So you've probably tried to, even be more strict and cut out carbs and promise yourself that you would never eat sugar again. Or you've been told that you just have to work harder to stay consistent, blah, blah, blah. And here's why that doesn't work. Here's why that hasn't worked. And then the most important part, which everybody skips, outline exactly what works. So this is where the belief shift happens because we're showing them a different perspective that they haven't seen yet. We're shifting the belief that they have to eat 1,200 calories to be successful. We're shifting the belief that they have to restrict and deprive and cut carbs and cut whatever that thought process is. We're moving the lens and we're showing them a different way. We're going to outline exactly what does work instead. Here's what you should do. Here's what does work. Here's how to solve that problem. And we give them the outline. Now they've solved the micro problem. They see it through a new lens. They know what doesn't work. They know why it's a problem. They know why their past efforts or current efforts or conventional wisdom has led them in the wrong direction. Now they have the new frame of what does work. But now we want to connect the dots between the micro problem and the dream outcome. Because by solving that micro problem for them, we've made it more likely that they can achieve the dream outcome that they desire. And now we're going to attach that to the process/framework that we use with our one-on-one clients so that they know that there's actually a system to do this that they can get access to. Now, there doesn't always have to be a call to action, but we are planting the seed that there is a process and a framework that exists that gets them from where they are to where they want to be. So you've given them the value of solving the problem, and you've connected the dots between solving that problem and achieving the dream outcome. And now it's as simple as saying, this is exactly what we do for our one-on-one clients inside of our coaching program. In fact, the entire first phase of our program is dedicated around breaking those patterns of, Saturday binges where you now have food freedom and, you're eating enough to support your metabolism and your goals. And you're no longer going to feel deprived. You're going to be able to stay more consistent. And because you're more consistent, we're actually going to be able to help you lose fat with less effort. You're no longer fighting against your body. You're working with it. And once we get you, to your fat loss goals, we're going to help you achieve it. We're going to help you maintain it. So you never have to worry about losing the weight again. This is a simple 3-step process that we take all of our clients through that helps them lose 20 to 30 pounds in 6 months. Now there's an actual proven framework to go with it. Clarity, certainty, trust. They know what the problem is. They know how you solve it. And we're earning trust by continuing to solve those problems and show up the way that we say we are, right? That's gravity. Now we're moving them around the bases. We're pulling them through the funnel. It's one of the most powerful frameworks there is. And the reason why it's known as black swan marketing is because there's a time many, many years ago where people thought that only white swans existed, and you could argue with them till you're blue in the face. But if somebody holds on to a belief, typically you can say all the right things, but it doesn't really matter until they actually see it. And it's almost like you're basically holding up the black swan, and they're like, oh shit, there is a black swan. And it shatters the whole belief system that they previously had. It all comes crumbling down. And that's all we're doing with the belief shifting framework is we're holding up the black swan. And that existing belief comes crumbling down. Now we're attaching them to our solution and our process and our framework. And that's how we move them along in the buying process. And this is what happens when you use it. You get inquiries and close people through email, no phone calls. You get the easiest one call close, belief shifting framework in the right nurture process. You get 8 new clients closed through email. Sales call and the potential client says your emails hit way too close to home. So when are you looking to start right now? Can you take a debit card? Paid in full 6 months. All right. So now here's how we do the consistent offer cadence. This is the monetization part. The belief shifting framework moves people around the bases. You're also going to get people that reply to those emails, but we're not depending on that. It's just bonus. It's like the icing on the cake. When somebody replies to a nurture email and they move forward with coaching, it happens frequently, but it's a nice thing to have. It's not something that we depend on. The way that we create predictability is we make a very direct offer email each month. The offer email is what I showed earlier, where it led to 15 sales off of one email, direct sales. And I'll show you that whole email, but it's basically all of these people who are on third base, they just need clear direction. They need a direct and detailed offer that will guide them home. So the offer framework is all the details. What is the offer? Who is it for? What results can be expected? What are the exact steps of the program? What do they get in terms of accountability? What qualifications? What is the ballpark price or the actual price? And then what's the next step for them to take? Actually, I'll just pull it up right now. Let me see if I can find it in my 7 million tabs that I have open. There it is. So this is the exact email that went out. That's my offer email. I don't change it very much. I make some minor edits, but this is basically, I take this Google Doc, I put it into an email. Hopefully you guys can see this. I recommend one detailed offer per month like this. You can make other offers, but when it comes to like lay out all the details of your program, so like again, the belief shifting framework, there's ways to incorporate calls to action in there. There's ways to use the resource accelerator to have messenger conversations and move people to calls. Um, there's there should always be conversion uh, happening. Um, but the detailed offer every single month picks up those pieces of like the people who are ready to go. They just need to know exactly what it is. Um, so it's not just only one offer per month, but I do recommend a detailed offer every single month. But you'll notice this, like, here's what it looked like right out of the gate. Somebody opens this. So if this were an email form, it would be like, hey, name. Um, here's what it looks like to work with us one-on-one. And then we explain it. It's for individuals who've been trying to lose weight, keep it off for years, are tired of the constant start and stop cycle, want to get leaner and love what they see in the mirror, take pride in their health and strength, and want to lose around 20 to 30 pounds of fat with the peace of mind that will never gain it back. It's typically 6 months. Here are the things that we cover with flexibility to adjust depending on your unique circumstances and goals. 1, here's what we do, step 1. 2, here's what we do, step 2. 3, here's what we do. And I literally take them through 6 steps. And then I tell them you get weekly email check-ins, 24/7 text support, on-demand one-on-one calls. Each week we look at your progress, we make specific recommendations. You get access to our app, all your data is in one place. We address these things in the order that will make the most sense for you. In order to qualify, you must meet the following criteria. You're used to training or working out. Folks who are in the habit of working out can typically see the best results. Even if you're bored, unhappy with your routine, we can give you a better one because I don't work with beginners. You know a decent amount about quality nutrition and fully understand the importance of sustainability. This makes it easy because there's not a steep learning curve. So somebody who has some existing knowledge of nutrition, because I don't work with beginners. So, and then we give them like, this is especially for you if you fit this criteria. The price for this offer is a respectable low to mid four-figure investment, small compared to the peace of mind, confidence in your own skin, and money you'll save by never needing another program again. Not to mention the stress reduction and sense of well-being when you no longer have any anxiety around food and finally reach your physical goals. Message me directly if you'd like to schedule a quick chat to make sure this is a good fit on both sides. So it's call to action. What do they have to do? Sometimes it'll be hit reply to this email. Sometimes I'll drop the link directly, but I don't change this very much. This is the detailed offer email that works every single month, month over month. I've never had a month where I've sent it and not converted clients from that same exact email. Let me go back to my slides. Sweet. So I'll send you that Google Doc so you can actually look at it and you can use that as kind of a reference for creating your own. And this is what happens when people use it. 10K all through email, which was pretty cool. 2 program signups through email, 2 discovery calls booked straight through email, 6 already this month through email alone, helping people pay $20,000 for a contract to redo landscaping. Yep, booked today, closed 5 minutes ago. So you can take this whole system. I did all of the heavy lifting so that you don't have to, and I basically put it into plug and play templates because that was the second, like the most common question that I would get is, what should I write? How do I convert clients through email like you do? And then the second most common question was, do you have a template for that? I used to always say no, but now I have the entire system kind of in like plug and play, done for you format. So this is the part where I tell you all about my coaching program and the collective and how amazing it is and all the things that are included, like the step-by-step audience and email growth strategy that I went over, the done for you lead magnets, landing pages, the nurture templates, the belief shifting templates to move people around the bases, the offer emails that you get every single month to enroll new clients, strategy calls every single week for implementation, automations and fully built out funnels and email sequences for pretty much everything that you can think of, webinars, challenges, scholarships, anything that you're doing, workshops and trainings on ads, DM conversations. I had this guy named Dan Heaney who came in and did a workshop for my group on DM conversations and converting through there, viral content, marketing, content calendars, and it also includes your entire CRM, email, text, landing pages, funnels, courses, communities, lead tracking calendars, document signing, all of that stuff. And it's $97 a month. If you want the link, Dan can share it with you. But I'll open it up to questions because I'm not going to spend too much time on that. If you guys want to like actually see the back end of it, I can show you the CRM. If you want to see the Google Drive that has all the templates in it, I can show you that. But you guys tell me, I'm here for you. So whatever questions you have, you can fire away.
Yeah, and
I have a
guys,
quick
I dropped the
question.
link. I dropped the link in the chat for everybody that is interested to check it out. It's yeah, I highly recommend everybody that I work with, I talk to them about joining the email collective because you're gonna have to have a CRM anyway. You're gonna want to send
I
emails.
can, yeah.
So why not get all of that other stuff that Mike just talked about, which is absolutely amazing. And you guys can all tell that it's he knows what he's talking about when it comes to email. It's a single. Yeah, I don't know if there's any other resource that's more valuable right now in the coaching space for coaches. Like what it comes with for that cost is pretty unbelievable, and that's why I highly recommend. If you guys have additional questions, feel free to reach out to me. I know Mike's always available too. Links in there, and I'll follow up with anybody too that has questions. So,
Yeah.
Bailey, you're up, man.
Yeah, so appreciate you, Mike, for all that stuff. That was really insightful, awesome information. Definitely gonna look into that. Probably gonna sign up. So, but quick question, just to get started. I've been collecting a lot of emails since I had that one post go viral. I got like 500 people on my list, but I haven't sent any emails yet because I don't know where to start.
Yep.
So should I like I don't know what to send. I've
Yep.
had like 3 different lead magnets that I've used. So the people are from different lists, but I have one that has like considerably more than the other 2.
Yeah.
So
So what I would recommend is I have a welcome sequence that's built out in there, and I would suggest starting there because that kind of captures
Yeah.
everything. Like they're new to your list, you take them through a welcome sequence. Then there's also automations that you can use that are also like done for you there, where you can actually have stuff set up where somebody comes in through a specific lead magnet and it'll take them through automation sequence before that they go into your normal, let's say you start with one email a week as your normal nurture cadence, which is what I would recommend as a minimum, like start with one a week. um, so they'll go through the automation, and then once that finishes, then they'll just drop right into your ongoing once a week sequence.
That makes
um,
sense.
yeah, but yeah, I would say that just implementing that out of the gate, like you'll start to get some traction. I had somebody who joined with 12 subscribers. He had literally 12 emails, and he already converted one of them through this process. So it was just, it's designed to bring people to you who like they're ready to go. They are on your list for a reason because they want to hear from you. So we just
Yeah.
get in that consistent process of nurturing them, and it's only a matter of time until they convert. So yeah, that's where I would start. I would put the welcome sequence in place and then get once a week of nurture going.
Cool. Thank you, man. That's kind of what I was expecting to hear.
Yeah, for sure. Any other questions?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Cam.
Yeah, so just kind of curious. I've been doing because I think I started. It's been almost a year now since I did the copy that converts system, and it kind of really just stuck to that for about almost a year. And it's been really good practice, just getting the habit of going through everything. But as we've kind of gotten played around with different like lead magnets, funnels, and this and that, the question has come up, do you think it's valuable to segment your list differently? Like, okay, basically someone's new, they haven't been nurtured enough. Do you let them see that offer early on? Say they've only been on your list for like 5 days. Do you let them see that offer? Or do you not even care? You just,
If they've been on your list for 5 days, they should be going through your welcome sequence
okay.
and not seeing the offer yet.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so the welcome sequence does have some soft call to actions throughout because you do want to do that pulse check.
Yeah.
Uh, and for anybody, like if you're doing, like I know metabolic assessments are really popular right now, or any kind of assessment. And that's something that I have a sequence that's designed for new people to go through the assessment because it gives you the opportunity to get them on a call a little bit quicker to like, it just condenses the nurture time. And then there's one that's a little bit more, um, where you're just, it's like more value based. It's not getting them on an assessment call or anything. It's just kind of taking them through the welcome process of getting to know you, your how you create results, some client testimonials, things like that, and then getting them into your weekly nurture.
Okay.
So it just depends. If you're using assessments, that or that welcome sequence works really, really well for getting those assessment calls booked. Or you can just do the basic one and then get them into your weekly sequence, and then they'll see the next offer when it comes around.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of similar to what I have. Like our first day is like 3 emails that first day.
Yep.
And the last one is kind of a soft call for basically that, like a metabolic assessment type of deal. And then once they complete that sequence, it's auto subscribed them to the main list. But I'm like, should I be putting them earlier? But it sounds like no.
Yeah. Yeah. I would let them go through the sequence and then into your main list.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Would you recommend using the free email listing that website builders provide? I have two companies, and one is with Wix and the other was with Shopify. Um, can you explain that a little bit more? I'm not sure what you mean by the free email listing.
What's up? I mean, like, instead of going with like a different company, so like, I have a company with Shopify, and they have templates for you and everything, and you're able to send out emails through the Shopify.
Yeah.
But I noticed that a lot of them go into spam. So, is that just because I'm doing it through Shopify, or should I go with another company for sending out emails because I don't have that?
Yeah. So I would say if that's happening, spam, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're really well known for their email delivery. So I would go with
Mhm.
something like with the email collective, we use Go High Level. Like they're very reputable in terms of, they have everything. With their email
Mhm.
CRM, their text, their landing pages, things like that. You can do everything on there. Um, so you would get that included. You would have like the CRM included if you decide to join. If you're gonna stay with Shopify, I would, kind of consider not using them for email send. That's happening, and go with
Yeah,
some.
that's why it's pretty shitty. It was just free. That's why I
Yeah,
was like, fuck it.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So it's
So if I
probably
join your thing, it also comes with it.
it does. Yeah, yeah. So you're able to send
Okay.
everything directly through
Oh,
there
yeah.
as well. So yeah, it includes the CRM, your ability to send emails and all that.
Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna be. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Thank
Cool.
you.
Yeah, for sure.
And Adrian, because I know your situation a little bit, go high level to even the white label version that Mike has, that you'll be able to integrate Shopify with it. So they have some integrations there.
Yep.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay. Because I'm gonna do emailing for both companies. So I did the Shopify one twice, and they both went straight to spam for everyone. So
It's probably. I mean, if it's free, it's probably on like a shared server, and that can cause some issues with
mhm.
deliverability. So yeah. Yeah, if you have, Kevin,
Okay,
good question. If you
cool.
have a list already, you can just transfer it over to the CRM. It's very straightforward. And we have like 24/7 tech support, anything that you need on the tech side. It's truly around the clock. Like it can be 3 a.m. It doesn't matter. You can get a live agent on. We do Zoom calls on demand for tech support. We have a community Telegram chat. We have weekly calls. So um, you're
The
not it's
Telegram
not
chat
a
is hectic.
and I'm very active in there. I was
Yeah.
actually talking about that on the podcast. I was like, I don't think you can find a stretch of time where I didn't respond within like an hour of somebody unless I was sleeping. Um, but yeah, it's all that stuff is really straightforward to move over. If you have an existing CRM that you want to, move over to ours, it's pretty seamless.
What about
And
like I just have a one more follow up on that. What about like websites and landing pages and all that stuff? Like I have Get Response now and I'm actually very happy with them, but I must have like my main site is on there and I must have like 8 or 9 other sites with them, like landing squeeze pages, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So you can keep them on there or you can use Go
Okay.
High Level for the landing pages too, because it has all of that stuff. Um, Yeah, so anything that you wanted to do with landing pages, websites, funnels, all of that is available to you on ours. It just depends if you want to use it or if you want to keep with the existing one that you have. So we deliver the everything in two different options. We have the CRM where everything's built out in there and it's, you know, all integrated, or we have the external drive, which is just a Google Drive where all the templates and sequences are copy and paste versions of the same thing.
Okay, cool.
I
Thanks.
for yeah, anybody that works with me too, Cam, Kevin, Jake, Adam, uh I use Go High Level as well. So that's the other thing that's beneficial about using Mike's white label version of it. I can share anything that I make with you guys very easily as well. Uh, so it's just, yeah, it really helps with for that process of sharing things across. So like any landing page that I have, any other sequence that I have, it makes it so I can share those across too.
Any other questions?
I got one more. I'm just kind of curious, what you, because some metrics are easily tracked, with their CRM. Like I use Active Campaign. So it's easy for me to tell if my hooks and headlines are good because I can tell like open rate's going to tell me a lot, right?
Yep.
And then I can tell like when I make an offer whether or not it was received because either it's crickets or you get a response. in the middle of that, like with a lot of these belief shifting things, is the only way to evaluate that is like the yeses you get when an offer? Do you like, is there something I don't know about that you might know about to like to evaluate, like, am I really moving people through this?
Yeah, it's everything that you mentioned, open rates, replies when you're asking for them, and then how many people take you up on the offer. Because the offer is not indicative necessarily of just the offer email itself. It's everything that happened before that. Um, so if we're seeing like really solid open rates and we're getting good engagement when we're asking for it, and we're getting good conversion on the offer, then we know that you're on the right track. If we see some kind of a gap there, like you're getting good open rates, but there's like no engagement and then nobody responding, then there's like a messaging problem that we need to fix.
Yeah, got it. That makes sense. Thank you.
Anything
Yeah,
else?
anybody else? All right. Well, thanks, Mike, for coming on. It was extremely insightful and valuable. And yeah, just appreciate you and what you're doing. And thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. If you guys have questions that pop up, just reach out. I actually am one of the people that responds to my messages. I don't have a VA or an admin or anything
Or a
doing that.
bot or an AI
Or a
bot.
bot. You can message me on Instagram, Facebook, email, whatever's easier. And
If you guys are not on Mike's email list, where can they go to potentially just jump on that too if they just wanted to get on that first?
yeah, so you guys can go to neurotypetraining.com/email. And then one of the things that I'm doing with the collective that I didn't mention, I'm doing SMS and text. So those templates will be added as of July 1st. And then I'm also doing, I had a lot of questions about low ticket. So I'm doing a behind the scenes look at, I'm actually launching a low ticket product for my nutrition coaching business. And I'm just giving everybody in the collective the full behind the scenes look at in real time as I launch it. So you'll see the stats on what happens when I open up the doors, when I open up the cart, what's the marketing strategy, the product itself, the ascension, the upsells, the copy, like you'll have access to that whole process. So you can see it in real time. And if it flops, you'll see it flop. And if it does well, you'll see it do well. If it's somewhere in the middle, you'll see all of that. And so that's something that's coming within the next week. So if you join within the next few days, you'll have access to all of that.
Cool. I'm excited to see it too.
Yeah. I appreciate it. If you guys need anything, just let me know.
Awesome, guys. Have a great rest of your Thursday, an amazing weekend, and I'll be enjoying the vineyard next week. So
Enjoy it.
see you guys.